Greetings, friends, and welcome to another episode of the Mistake Zone, your weekly dose of our lives and the mistakes within them. My name is Jaren Wade. Joining me, as always, one of my best friends in the whole wide world, Matt Alba. Hey, Matt.
Yo.
Should we start off with another 10-pole friend? You know, I got it open right now, Matt. Got it open.
Oh, man. Jaren, you have a sickness.
That I do, Matt Alba. That I do. How are you doing this week?
Yo, I'm doing good.
Matt, that's great. Also great, being joined by another one of my best friends in the whole wide world, Rakush. Hey, Rakush.
Jaren?
How are you doing?
Jaren, I've been better. I gotta run something by you guys, okay?
Okay.
So, I got pulled over like a couple of days ago for a rolling stop sign. Won't get into that part too much because, you know, ongoing ticket and stuff like that. But, as the police officer was walking up, I realized that I had an episode of the Mistake Zone playing. And in my mind, I'm like, wait, I'm gonna have to talk to this police officer. And at the same time, I'm listening to myself talk in my car.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm like suddenly really self-conscious about like listening to myself in the car while I'm driving. Because now I'm like, oh my god, what if somebody realizes I'm listening to myself, even though like the only one who would know that I'm listening to myself is somebody that knows me that walks by. Which is very unlikely to happen in this neighborhood. And so like now I gotta ask you guys, like, how do you listen to this podcast when you listen back to it? And like, how self-conscious are you about listening to yourself talk?
Rakush, obviously when I brought up the fragrant flowers bloom with dignity or whatever it was called last week, that especially tells you how I treat all our previous Mistake Zone episodes. Matt, how often do you listen to the Mistake Zone?
I mean, I edit it, so I listened to our exact same conversation like a second time during the week. And
post-editing the Mistake Zone.
Post-editing, I actually go back more often than I would have thought, just looking for stuff that we said for just like dumb stuff, or to see if I remember what I said about a thing correctly.
Fair.
Yeah.
I know if you guys are the ones recording, I'll try to listen during a dog walk, or I think a lot of the times it's me on public transit re-listening, where I don't know, if I was in a situation, and I have been in a situation where I have been pulled over, like my volume is immediately cut at that point, where I don't think I'll give anyone else an opportunity to listen to myself. Where, you know, there might be times when I would start driving someone else or pick up someone and connecting my phone to the car audio, then it might have us playing, but at the same time, I think no one really bats an eye, no one actually realizes that it's playing. So I think you're getting in your head for this.
I got another question now, because something Jared said here made me remember another embarrassing thing. So, do you guys have your phone connected to like two different Android Autos or like Apple CarPlays by any chance? Because for a while there, I did. Like, I have it with my car, but then like there's a while where I was kind of driving like my brother's car because he was out of town and I needed to kind of use it for things. And I forgot to like disconnect the Bluetooth from his car. So every now and then, some of my anime music starts playing in his car while I'm sitting in there, and he's like, oh, what the hell is this? And I'm like, whoops, and kind of embarrassing. That happened to you guys? Accidentally revealing your affinity for the finer arts of life?
No. I specifically turn off all outside connections that my phone can make. Like, if I'm not specifically using an outside connection.
Got it. So it's just me that's the careless one.
I think I'm overly cautious.
For me, I don't know. I think both of you have been in the car with me where even if some anime bullshit starts playing, you know, I think that's within my wheelhouse, where anyone I'm driving with doesn't necessarily bat an eye. If anything, they kind of expect it. And usually that lasts like a few seconds before I'll put it to a more general playlist that is still within my wheelhouse, but I think more acceptable than my anime theme songs. But if we're talking about being embarrassed in front of other people, friends, I thought I wouldn't have shame, but Matt, Rakush, I recently opened a pack of Nikkei Y Schwarz cards in front of my partner, and I take that back. I was super embarrassed about her thumbing through those cards, and I'll leave it at that. But, boys, I had an ordeal this week with our refrigerator.
Oh, no.
And 2 scenarios happened to me this week, both involving this appliance, where I believe on Friday, I get up, it's 6:30 a.m., gotta get the coffee ready, just get everything ready pre-work for my partner and I, and I'm going to the fridge to get, the milk, and I look on the ground, and all of a sudden there's a big puddle in front of the fridge, where it turned out the hose, that connects the water to the fridge so you can get ice or you can get filtered water, somehow got snagged, and there was just a big crack in the middle of it, and that was just leaking water all over. So, had to call up my cousin. We cut that out, replaced it with a connector, and that's all fine. So that was my Friday. But, Saturday rolls around, and one thing I like about this refrigerator is that it's one of those 3-compartment refrigerators where, you have your typical fridge on top, your freezer on the bottom, and then you have the midsection, which you can set to what you want it to be. If you want it to be another freezer, or if you want it to be another fridge compartment, or if you want it to be what they call cold drinks, something to hold your bevs. And Saturday rolls around, and I think, you know what? I think it's time for me to crack open some bevs. And boys, I open that 3rd compartment, and I look inside. Not Rakush. That cold bev compartment wasn't set to cold bevs.
Oh, no.
What do you think it was set to?
Ooh, was it set to, wait, are cold? I mean, I'm going to guess it was frozen bevs at that point.
Well, if it's frozen bevs, though, it would explode because of the pressure in the can.
And that's why I think it would be bad.
Oh, no.
So let's say I opened that up, and it was a mountain of Coke Zero slush everywhere.
No.
And frozen grapes. Silver linings, am I right, boys?
So now you got Coke Zero flavored grapes.
Oh, man.
Where not only was there a mountain of a mix between beer, Coke Zero, and kombucha. But, of course, once you put it back down to cold bevs, all that slush starts to melt. And the issue is, it's not the ones within the compartment itself. It's the stuff that was now stuck to the back of the fridge back. And I need to figure out a way to completely take out this compartment so I can clean up the back of the fridge. And boys,
damn.
When it says lock to cold bevs, now I can't trust the lock. So my question to you this week, is this refrigerator haunted?
Oh, man. Yeah, I mean, Jaren, if you didn't buy this fridge, right? It came with the place?
Yep, it came with the house.
Jaren, you don't know the history of this fridge. This could have ghosts in it. Maybe it was at the cold bevs, and ghosts make things colder to begin with. That's what Phasmophobia taught me.
Fair.
It's being haunted by that Uma Musume horse that just died recently.
Oh, no.
If your fridge was haunted, Rakush, what would the play be?
Befriended. I think figure out where the cool spots are, where the ghost wants me to store things, and just kind of work around it.
So we're both in agreement.
Honestly,
what's up?
Moving into a new house and your fridge is haunted is peak anime setup.
It is peak anime setup.
What if it's not a haunted fridge, but what if somebody got isekai'd and is now at the fridge in your house? It's like that vending machine one. But they're a fridge in your house.
But they're not in a new world, Rakush. they're in the normal world, and I feel like that makes it weirder.
No, but like, what if they're isekai from another world into ours? Like, are ghosts just isekai?
Oh, reverse isekai.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I wouldn't. Okay,
from whose perspective are we talking here? Because
I don't think ghosts are considered isekai because they're just. You could be a ghost here, and you're not in a new world. You're just in the same one. You're just dead.
okay, fair. But what if this is not a ghost? It's just someone from an alternate universe got isekai'd into our universe. So it's like, for him or her or them, it is out of the norm.
I mean, yeah, then that's just an isekai ghost.
I would feel sorry for our isekai fridge just because, well, maybe not. It would kind of stare at her dog all day because her daybed's kind of in front of the fridge. So maybe that's the life. Maybe that's the life.
Jaren, if you could pick the kind of character that would get isekai'd into your fridge, what kind of character would you want?
Rakush, we've been friends for close to 2 decades now, and I think we both know the answer to that. So now that the anime floodgates are open, boys, I went to the movies this week.
Oh, wow.
I went to the movies this week because there was a new Demon Slayer release, at least here in North America. And so Demon Slayer, the Infinity Castle, just released. And while we were waiting, we watched the previews, normally this is when we would see a bunch of, anime trailers, movies being brought to us by G Kids. And for the most part, we did see it in IMAX, but it was essentially just showing a lot of the current blockbusters, the current Western releases. And by the end of it, the last trailer that they played before the movie itself started was a trailer for the upcoming Chainsaw Man movie, which I believe is coming out this October. And boys, one, I didn't realize there was a new Chainsaw movie coming out. And before I get to the Demon Slayer stuff, let's just say that after the movie ended and my partner and I were heading home, we were on that post-movie high and we thought, okay, let's go. We're definitely going to go to watch the Chainsaw Man movie. But before then, we should probably brush up on Chainsaw Man itself. And I come to you after binging the entire season in the last, let's say, 48 hours. And I know you guys are, Rakush, I believe you more so than Matt are fans of, the Chainsaw Man franchise. But as someone who knows, okay, my knowledge of Chainsaw Man goes to the lengths of anything I've absorbed through osmosis from your discussions, memes that I've seen around, and the fact that this has a lot of collaborations with different gacha games, different clothing brands, where I know what the characters look like, but I don't know the characters themselves. Where right off the bat, I'm actually surprised that there are only 12 episodes of Chainsaw Man, where for some reason I thought this would be a 3-season anime already, where I think since we live in a world where JJK has, I believe, 2 seasons and Attack on Titan is on their 4th final season, I kind of assumed Chainsaw Man would have more of a rollout considering how popular at least it appears to be for me, where Rakush, as the resident Chainsaw Man expert in my eyes, was the fact that it only had 12 episodes, was that kind of weird to the fandom, or did people kind of expect kind of a shorter run for it?
It's a great question. I cannot speak for the fandom because I'm not actually actively involved on like subreddits and taking a peek at how people feel about the series and stuff like that. From my perspective, I think it made a little bit of sense that it was only 12 episodes. What has caught me off guard is how long it's taken something to come out after the 12 episodes. So the initial understanding I had was it would kind of go the JJK route where like you had 24 episodes for season 1, and then the second season will cover basically the second half of the first part of the Chainsaw Man manga. But no, like they've gone 12 episodes movie, and then I'm assuming the season is going to come next year after the movie is done. I think, I don't know, this is all speculation on my part. I personally did not love the anime. I felt like for a lot of things that it did right with some of the tonality and the style, I found that some of the decisions that they made with the actual animation itself felt a little bit lacking. And I also kind of feel like just from a music standpoint, it could have been a little bit different. So like it did some things well, some things not so much. Kind of might be a blessing in disguise that it's been as long since that series initially came out, because to me, my hope is that the amount of time that it's taken, of course, it's gone into producing a movie that from the trailer seems extremely polished, but curious to see how that ends up in a month's time. But I'm also kind of hoping that they've kind of figured out the things that worked and the things that didn't with the series. I mean, all I can go on is hope right now. There's no real working knowledge here on my end.
Fair. And I guess my follow-up question is, so we finished the first 12, well, I guess the only 12 episodes of Chainsaw Man. And then there are two companion, I want to say episodes or movies that are, both are an hour and a half. And I believe these are essentially recaps for the season itself, where Matt and Rakush, do you have any experience with the companions, and do you recommend potentially having to watch them, or kind of what's the deal with those?
I actually haven't watched those. Matt, have you?
I didn't even know they existed,
Yeah.
to be honest.
I heard about one of
from
them.
what I understand, yeah.
Sorry, I heard about one of them recently, but I didn't realize it was like a feature length thing. I thought it was just sort of like a season 1 summary teaser before the movie came out. I didn't realize they had like 2 feature length things to watch.
Yeah. So from what I understand about these companion pieces is, correct me if I'm wrong again, Chainsaw Man, the first season, was directed by someone, and the movie will be directed by someone else, where I believe the companion pieces were directed, or at least put together, in part with whoever's directing the movie.
Okay.
And there, from what I saw, there might be some additional context clues or scenes part of the summary. But yeah, I was wondering if you guys have watched those before. But I guess at this point, with the movie coming out in October, that might be something to watch a week prior to watching it. But
yeah, I mean, the director of the movie is Tatsuya Yoshihara. Apparently, he directed the Black Clover series director, was a chief director for the later parts of it, did Wistoria, and the series season 1's director was Ryu Nakayama. However, his name isn't really mentioned a lot in the production for the Resi arc Chainsaw Man movie. So yeah, I guess like they definitely are doing a change in direction. And I have heard some things about like what I was saying was like I thought the teaser series directed by the movie director is that they've made a few different, like it's very subtle changes in how the dialogue comes across, some minor tweaks to the actual dialogue itself to be more manga specific and stuff. So yeah, like it does seem like they've made a few tweaks there.
Okay. And real quick, I think, again, with my only exposure to the Chainsaw Man franchise being, everything third hand, essentially, seeing how they're usually presented through gacha. And even though gacha collabs aren't really canon, you kind of get a feel for how these characters are at least portrayed, the overall aesthetic of the anime. And every time I've seen Chainsaw Man collab with something, I just feel like it's been presented, the characters and the overall style has been presented to be this really flashy, really more stylized, in your face, I guess, franchise, for lack of a better term at this point. And watching the first, or the 12 episodes, I was surprised at how it did feel a lot more subdued compared to what I would assume this whole like the anime would be based on all the collab art I've seen in the past. And going from there, a lot of the characters, again, when you don't have firsthand experience with these characters, you kind of assume a lot about them. And I was actually really surprised that Power was less of a female lead character and more Power. Rakush, is it just me, or does Power not really do much in the season, like the Chainsaw Man anime? Where I know you're a fan of her, so I was expecting her to be a bit more leading lady, but at the same time, she's a lot less. She doesn't have as much depth as I thought she would be. And on the flip side, I kind of thought Makima would be more of a side character, and then she's presented as essentially this omnipresence. And by the end of it, the fact that Denji is 16 made all the kind of freakier aspects of the anime a bit eyebrow raising. So that part I especially didn't expect.
Oh yeah.
Where maybe I'm just old, maybe I'm just like, despite me playing Nikkei, maybe I'm a hidden prude, where this, I don't know, Chainsaw Man was completely, not necessarily completely, but a lot more different, a lot more, for lack of a better term, juvenile than I thought it would be. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but I don't know. I was expecting a lot more style, and instead I got a lot more kind of coming of age than I would expect, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But Rakush, as a manga fan, like, did it translate into that, or like what was your kind of general takeaway?
Yeah, you kind of read my mind on where I was gonna go with this, but I do think one of the reasons I didn't like the anime was that disconnect between tonality of the manga versus tonality of the series a little bit, where I just kind of felt like, and Matt, I have like vague recollections of chatting about this with you guys on like the podcast, where I talked about things being a little bit too clean potentially with the anime itself, whereas like a lot of just the things that I like about Fujimoto's art style and like, you know, just kind of how he captures like empty space in his panels or captures just this frenetic energy in his panels, sometimes like a little bit claustrophobic almost, sometimes a little bit just through like the way he kind of like pencils in like the character designs or like just the panels and like, you know, the pages themselves, to me did not translate one for one into the anime itself, right? And so I feel like, Jaren, your experience is not out of the realm of normality for me personally. I think a lot of folks probably just kind of seeing like key visuals or like posters of the anime thought you're gonna get like this like very stylistic thing. You're gonna get like ultra cool characters, and then you actually get into the series, and each one is a different kind of dork. And in a, to me, an endearing way, I personally really loved kind of where they go with the characters themselves. Maybe because I kind of started it with the manga, and I started it with a very sort of blank slate with no expectations on who the characters might be based on how they're presented in motion media, I guess. And yeah, I do think there's a big disconnect in that sense. I know you also kind of talked about a little bit of sort of the pacing and how like it's not necessarily like this like flashy series. It has flashy moments, but it's not a flashy series. A lot of things that happen are very muted, and that is intentional. That is by design as well. One of my favorite things about this series is when Fujimoto just draws sometimes like an entire chapter with maybe like 3 or 4 bits of dialogue in it and like 17 pages of just action happening or like quiet moments happening. And the way he draws those quiet moments, the way he captures the emotions in those quiet moments, I personally love a lot. It's why it's one of my favorite series ever. And it's very difficult to kind of translate that into an entire series itself. Although I do think there were some cool moments in season 1 that kind of captured it a little bit. Overall, I think it was a little bit of a disconnect there. Maybe that's why the director is not back for this movie, or potentially for season 2. We shall see.
Fair. And yeah, like I know I'm talking kind of oddly about it, but I did enjoy my time with the season. I'm looking forward to the movie. 2 parts real quick. One, to, I guess, both of you, probably not surprising, I'm going to mention this. That scene between Makima and Denji when they're filling out the paperwork, Wow, was I not expecting that in a shonen anime, and I think that told me everything. That was the point in the movie, especially. I know there's a part with Denji and Power slightly beforehand, but I think that scene in particular made me realize, okay, I know nothing about Chainsaw Man.
The
And number two,
the puke scene didn't do it for you?
sorry,
That wasn't the one that made you go, well?
no, because like after the Makima Denji stuff, like anything was on the table to me, especially. But
Fair.
I think after that scene in particular, that reminded me of some of the more degen animes we talked about in 2019, Matt. You know, they weren't all winners, but those still live in my mind. And number two, boys, for someone who's seen a lot of Bomb Double cosplay, I was shocked that that character does not appear in this anime, considering how much cosplay I've seen of her. So
That's the movie.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
So looking forward to it, but once the trailer played,
Sorry, Jaren, right quick.
What's
I
up?
did want to explain this part a little bit, right? Because I do want to acknowledge, like,
Mhm.
I'm not just like skimming over the questionable stuff in season one. Like, there are a lot of things where it's like you mentioned, you know, this is a 16-year-old student, and a big theme of the series is him getting taken advantage of. This kid that is just happy to be alive, that has like kind of at the start of the series been a very miserable person, just existing, like, you know, literally by selling organs and things like that, now has a job, has friends, has a place to stay. His bar for happiness is so low that anything of positivity that happens to him at like the most sort of like base human instinct level like excites him to the point where he's very easy to manipulate. And so I think that's a big theme of the series that will play out a lot more in the future episodes and future seasons, future movie potentially to come. But want to acknowledge, yes, that is a part of it. Yes, there's an explanation for it. No, I'm not going to justify it, because I do think at the end of the day, if you're uncomfortable with that stuff, this isn't the series for you. So I would not force somebody to watch this.
I think no, the running theme of Denji being taken advantage of throughout is still a compelling story, but I think at the end of the day, there's some. Actually, I don't know. Maybe the sexual stuff was just a bit off-putting, where I think you can still tell this. Again, this is just the artistic choice. This is the author's choice to show how vulnerable Denji can be. It's just that I think it. I was caught off guard, is all I'm going to say, where it was a lot more. And maybe that is part of the intention of trying to make the viewer feel uncomfortable for someone who, as you said, doesn't doesn't know better and hasn't experienced better. Where a lot of the few moments in the anime where Denji is talking about how what he has now is the best, where it kind of reminds me of that time I was crashing out about The Sims to you, Matt, about how I don't understand why my sim is sad about having this one bedroom apartment. If I had a one bedroom apartment, I'd have a blast. But yeah, I guess for me, it was just being caught off guard at how much they leaned into that aspect. And it kind of goes to that whole notion of if he was like 2 years older, you know, we have that arbitrary number. Would I think that was more okay? Would I feel less uncomfortable? Which is also another thought experiment to have about just how Chainsaw Man presents these uncomfortable situations. Where again, I do appreciate the story of him being taken advantage of, but kind of at the same time, there's I think all the sexual stuff kind of, at least for me, makes it a lot more uncomfortable, and I think that can elevate the story, but at the same time is something that definitely caught me off guard.
I think the conversation that you're also having about Chainsaw Man is a general question around just how fan servicey stuff is treated in anime and manga. For me personally, it is a very valid question and very like fascinating one as well. I wouldn't be sitting here trying to convince you otherwise if you're feeling uncomfortable. So yeah, I really do think this is one of those series. Check out some of the, for lack of a better description, check out some of the trigger warnings for the show, for the manga, before you end up watching it or sort of consuming it, because yeah, there's definitely a lot of things, even in the more recent chapters, without getting into spoiler territory, like there's a lot of questionable subject matter that is meant to make you feel uncomfortable, but if you're feeling uncomfortable without being able to control the other emotions that come with it, then that's not worth it. And so yeah, I think definitely look into it and kind of give a lot of thought to it before you get into it, because yeah, these are all very sensitive topics to kind of like explore. And I will admit I'm not the smartest person to talk about these things either, so yeah.
Yeah. And long-winded way of me saying looking forward to the movie. And I think one of the reasons why I'm really looking forward to the movie was, of course, Demon Slayer, the Infinity Castle. And boys, gotta admit, we were stoked to go here because if you went to the first IMAX showing, you were supposed to get a sweet collector's item. And when we looked online, it was supposed to be these sweet, collector cards. Boys, when we got there, we received essentially these pieces of cardboard, but not like cardstock cardboard, but kind of ticket stock of we essentially got Demon Slayer bookmarks, and that made me big sad. But Matt, I did buy a Demon Slayer cup for $7.99, which was 20% off because I was a scene member. And Matt, I'm going to sneak that into any theater that has a freestyle machine while this cup is in rotation. Please don't tell on me. You're not allowed to share this podcast with any Cineplex employee in our general area. But so Demon Slayer, the Infinity Castle, kind of without getting to the story, it was just a really fun time. But at the same time, that's a big beefy boy. And the amount of times I saw people lose to Toilet Con just because they had to get up and leave. Damn. Felt real bad because there is a lot to take in. And I know, Matt, you watched this movie as well, but I think for me, without kind of getting into the story stuff, two things stick out to me. Well, three things stick out. One, the production remains on point. I think this is just a gorgeous movie. The fight choreography was really well done. It does the thing that it really is able to blend 3D looking backgrounds with what appears to be 2D animation, and not look hokey, not look corny, but just to see these characters kind of fly through these inception scenes with this castle that's folding in and over itself. I think it's just this big spectacle. And Rakush, when you mentioned with Chainsaw Man that you thought some of the music was kind of off, I think if there was one thing I had to ding Infinity Castle for, is some of the music selection for especially some of the fight scenes really gave me bad early 2000s EDM, where I thought some of the music just didn't fit some of the fights, where I thought it could have, I feel like they could have chose a lot better music, but I think that at this point it's just me nitpicking, because the three main fights that we do see throughout this movie was just something to behold. I really enjoyed the movie. By the end of it, I did see, when you're exploring kind of the backstory for Akaza, I believe, saw a few people start wiping their faces. So this is a movie that definitely has a lot going for it, but at the same time, it's also a experience that was definitely made to be a movie, where it made to be a movie for fans of this franchise, where unlike us going to that Demon Slayer movie last year, that was essentially just the first 3 episodes of season 4. There's no introduction that kind of gives you a brief synopsis. You're just in it. All the Demon Slayers are flying through the Infinity Castle, and you're left to watch them kind of just go about trying to figure out what to do with their main goal of killing Muzan by the end. But Matt, as someone who's also watched Infinity Castle, what were some of your general impressions of it?
Honestly, Jaren, this is okay. This movie was about like 2.5 hours long, if I remember right. And
I think even closer to 3. No, yeah, 2, at least 2.5, at least 2.5.
Jaren, I honestly think they could have, removed a lot of stuff so that people didn't lose to a Toilet Kun.
Yeah.
I think this is a problem that I've had with Demon Slayer as a whole. And this like problem still persists in the movie. I don't like enemy backstory that becomes irrelevant while they're telling you the backstory. And
right.
I feel like so much of that problem could be removed from this movie, and it would have been a more reasonable length. But overall, I do think that the movie was, as Demon Slayer always has been, cinematically very pretty. Like this is a really, really pretty movie, and I still am not sure if the breathing techniques actually make anything happen or if they're superpowers or not. And that still kind of bothers me. But like overall, this movie was like a very, very fun watch. But it is quite a long watch, and I was actually kind of surprised with the fights that they decided to put into this movie.
Where I think one thing that I was scratching my head afterwards when we were walking out and I was kind of digesting everything. One, this gave me that same feeling I had after walking out of the last Spider-Verse movie of can't wait for the next one. When is it? When's it coming out? I hope it's next year. It's probably not going to be next year. And Matt, correct me if I'm wrong. The second movie is 2027 and then the third movie is 29, correct? Or do you have that on the top of the dome?
I don't know the dates for all of the movies. I just know that they're all too far apart.
Yeah, they are. Matt, knowing or the thought that this trio of movies, this story will end in, 4 or 5 years, makes my tummy hurt. My tummy hurts right now, boys.
Yeah, I'm hearing 2029 is the last year.
2029? Damn.
Feels bad.
We're gonna be so old.
So 2 years in between. Yeah,
we'll be 40. Guys, we'll be 40 when that movie
don't
comes
say that
out.
out loud. Don't say that out loud.
I just did.
Oh man.
And so once the realization that Father Time wins at the end, I was thinking, wow, I don't remember what happened in the manga just because, Matt, I think when I was walking out of this movie, I was confusing a lot of story beats with Fire Force, and I could have sworn that all our Demon Slayer friends prepared to go into the Infinity Castle, and then I thought, wait, no, that was the first arc of Fire Force. And then I was pretty sure Shinobi's fight was against someone else. Like, I never remembered her ever fighting Upper 2. And I don't know, Matt, how, from what you remember or what you know, how 1-to-1 is this to the manga? And is this a case of me just losing to Father Time faster than I expected?
Jaren, Father Time is whooping you, Jaren. This is a pretty 1-to-1 from what I remember of Demon Slayer.
I hate it.
Sorry, I haven't watched Demon Slayer. You guys aren't talking about an actual character called Father Time, are you?
No. I'm talking about how my brain is melting before our eyes.
All right, got it. Okay.
Where, just
have to make sure.
All the fights, really well done. Not that closing shot with Shinobu and Upper 2
Mhm.
made my tummy hurt for other reasons because I love Shinobu. But again, still didn't get the answer to my question of so Shinobu and Mayo meet at some point, right? When,
Uh-huh.
but
Uh-huh.
hopefully that gets shown at some point. But Matt, Rakush,
Mhm.
my final bit about this is I know it's a beefy boy movie, but everything I'm hearing about 4DX sounds incredible for Demon Slayer's Infinity Castle, where, no lie, Rakush,
Uh-huh.
my partner and I were heavily debating trying to cop last minute tickets to AEW's All Out show.
Uh-huh.
And then we found out that it was pushed earlier. So I believe doors are like 12 or 1, correct?
145, yeah.
For that show? Yeah. And then I was explaining where, correct if I'm wrong, Rakush, but AEW shows, those are big beefy boys as well. Where for something of the all-out caliber of this pay-per-view, this is probably going to be what are we looking at? Like 5-6 hours total runtime?
Yeah, you're not getting out before 8 p.m.
Yep. So that's a long-winded way of saying is we're no longer going to AEW or try to go into AEW, but we're most likely going to the 4DX showing if not you're interested in doing that.
Oh man.
But Jaren,
What's up?
you're gonna miss Eddie Kingston's return.
Yeah, but then Rakush, I'm gonna go on a roller coaster and I need to see if 2.5 hours is too long for a 4DX experience before we all commit to the Chainsaw Man 4DX experience because we have to commit to that.
When are the tickets going on sale for Chainsaw Man? Because I really want to watch that.
In 4DX, right? Because when
Yes.
Makima touches Denji's face and your seat subtly rocks, that's worth the price of admission. And with that, Matt, closing thoughts on Demon Slayer Infinity Castle.
Movie's long, wear a diaper, I guess, because you really don't want to miss any of it.
Okay, actually, final question. Matt,
Uh-huh.
for realsies, did we need the Akaza backstory in this movie?
No, Jared, I don't think you need any of them throughout the whole series. So I especially don't think you need Akaza's backstory here. Jared, I don't think you really. You maybe need a bit of Kayaku's backstory, but like you could get rid of a lot of it.
So Matt, is the mistake zone stance for Demon Slayer is less talk, more katana clanging and banging?
Jared, that's always my stance. That's been my stance since the mistake zone. Jared, I don't care about story because I am not a prude. I'm a simpleton.
Matt, with that in mind, how much clanging and banging is in Hollow Live Silksong?
Hollow Live Silksong?
When we talk about Silksong, sorry.
Oh man, dude, I would hella play Hollow Live Silksong. Oh man.
Is this the post-credit scene?
No, I don't leave it this in. But oh man.
That okay, now that I'm composed, now that I close the tab with the latest Cecilia Hollow Live No Graffiti, Matt, rewind, shout out to Crony, how much clanging and banging is in Hollow Knight Silksong?
There is I think there's a lot of clanging and banging in Hollow Knight Silksong. Arguably
but how much story is in Hollow Knight Silksong?
Maybe I'm just misremembering how the storytelling was in Hollow Knight, but I feel like the storytelling in Silksong is a lot more direct than the storytelling was in Hollow Knight. Rakush, I don't know if you remember Hollow Knight's story particularly well or not.
I kind of remember it, but getting older means I can't remember a lot of things from even last week. I kind of agree with you, although I would say the pacing is the same in Silksong as it was in Hollow Knight.
Yeah, because I think the fact that Hornet is not a silent protagonist really kind of makes the story a lot more digestible rather than it being... Because I felt like Hollow Knight was really telling its story in the Dark Souls style, where it is a lot more cryptic. Yeah, a lot more cryptic than I then for lack of a better way to say it, yeah, a lot more cryptic. And Hollow Knight, Silksong is just Hornet. Hornet not taking sass from anybody and just telling people what she thinks and trying to figure out why she was kidnapped.
I kind of feel like the not taking sass from anybody is like the big plot point of this game. Actually, now that you say it,
Hornet is just like all about. For Silksong having very notable side quests that I feel like original didn't have. Hollow Knight is a lot, or Hornet is a lot more direct about doing whatever she wants than I guess Hollow Knight was. What is his name? Just Hollow Knight? I actually can't remember.
It's Hollow Knight.
Or did they just call him like Vessel?
Oh, you're talking about that guy? Yeah. I can't remember.
But I guess story aside, I feel like I am really enjoying the gameplay and the wandering around a lot more in Silksong because I feel like it is a lot more directed than original Hollow Knight was. I don't know if you feel that way, Rakush.
I was thinking about this, and I think the first question I asked myself at that point was, is it that it's easier this time around, or is it that I played Hollow Knight already once?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know the answer yet. I think I'm 7 hours into this game, and I'm not sure if this game has felt more open because of my past experience with the original game, or if it's just doing enough to direct you. So I think from that perspective, my view is a little bit skewed. I do find it to be a little bit more open, or at least sort of guided in the first 3 hours of the game. But I don't know if that's because I'm looking for the right signs.
Yeah, I guess also for me, a big issue I had with Hollow Knight was kind of just getting lost very often. And I feel like that didn't happen quite as much when I was playing through Silksong. Just for context, I think I'm under 20 hours in. I've just reached basically Act 2, the title card of Act 2. And yeah, I feel like I haven't gotten lost as much as I did in original Hollow Knight. I think one thing that I actually very, very much like about Silksong is that anything that's major for your progression is actually held off by actual gates this time. I felt like there's a lot of stuff in Silksong where with the way that their map is designed, if you travel to an area, it becomes highlighted instead of in a lot of other Metroidvanias where it'll become partially highlighted. You could still have some parts of a room unexplored, and that really helps in terms of finding where to go. But I think that Silksong, gets around that by, having hard doors in a lot of places and making the map maker so much easier to find than I feel like a Hollow Knight originally had. Because I think Chakra is so much easier to find than what was the name of the dude in Hollow Knight 1? Do you remember the map maker's name?
I couldn't even remember the main character's name. I definitely don't remember the map maker's name.
Yeah, but I feel like she is placed a lot better. I think a lot of the maps are kind of just designed to flow a lot better, but it does still have that a lot of openness that lets you kind of explore maps in out of order than I guess the game would originally expect you to do it. Because I know when I was kind of looking at stuff online, just seeing people's reactions, I realized that I had gone through some fights that people had done, much later with less stuff. For example, I don't know if you remember this mini boss, Rakush, but there's a mini, the big red ant that's guarding the entrance to, I think, Hunter's March.
Yes. I didn't know you were supposed to do that after you got the dash.
And I think one of the things that I had a real hard time dealing with originally at the start of Silksong was the diagonal pogo, and I think not having the dash for the big ant fight made me really learn how to use the diagonal pogo properly, because I was using that as a dash instead.
So first off, and pardon my language for this next 5 seconds, fuck Hunter's Marsh.
Yeah.
Kiss my ass. I hate that map. I got the dash before I fought the dude. Well, I fought him wiped real hard, and then I was like, all right, let me come back here later on, sort of thing. The game is really good in the beginning elements of just kind of being just come back here later on. And I think one of the things I do kind of appreciate about the Silksong map this time around is I feel like the benches and the fast travel locations are pretty well balanced and set up.
Yes.
In a way where it does not feel like you're backtracking insane amounts or anything like that. It actually is like a good quality of life update for me personally. And so when I wiped out against this guy and I started at the bench, I was kind of like, okay, it's close enough, but I can tell I'm missing something. Like just instinctively I could tell like I'm missing something here. I am curious how a first time player who's never played the original Hollow Knight would react in that same scenario, which is going back to my question around like how much am I bringing in here from the original game, and how much does Team Cherry, the developer of the game, expect you to bring from the original game too. And it's all kind of fascinating from that front. So like you played that without the dash, and then you were doing the Hunter's Marsh part, I'm guessing, right? Like, did you feel like, did at any point you felt like you got too deep into a map or too deep into an area, and you felt like, oh man, I should probably backtrack and like come back here at a later time at all? The same way I kind of felt with some of these areas.
Not well. Okay, yes, I did sometimes, but that was more so for like stuff that I thought was more so to the side. There was never a point where I was like, oh, I'm not supposed to progress this way. It's more so like, oh, okay, this thing is out of way. Like, I'm guessing there's going to be like, I don't know, a double jump or a way to, jump farther in the future where you can go to this path. But there's still this other path available to me, and I would just follow that one. There wasn't really anything that was particularly like, hey, you're missing a thing that lets you progress, like actually progress in this part. For me, or maybe I just what do you call it? Like, I don't know, chunked my way through it in a way that you weren't supposed to.
So you're 20 hours into the game. I guess the other question I have for you, because I'm 7 hours in, so I haven't gotten as far to kind of make like a comment like this. Do you have a boss fight that you find to be your favorite so far?
There was a couple boss fights that I really liked. I really like the lace fight. I know you did that one.
Yeah.
I think my initial favorite one, though, was like fourth chorus.
Yeah.
Because that was, I think, the first fight that I really felt like it's my fault that I'm losing. I'm not losing because of bullshit RNG or something like that. Because there's like two kind of, I guess, like fights in this, major fights in this game, right? Where it's like, your boss fight, and then you have fights where you're dealing with multiples of more so like elite class enemies, I guess.
Like arena fights.
Yes, arena fights. And I hate those fights because I feel like those are so much more susceptible to bad RNG. Whereas fourth chorus, every time I died in fourth chorus, it was very much, I made a mistake, I'm about to die now. A good second or two before I actually lost. And I like that feeling in boss fights because I like to feel like it's my fault I lost. It's not I lost to like some bullshit thing.
Right. I think like the two that you mentioned, Lace and Fourth Chorus, are really good sort of like skill check bosses for early game, right? Like you unlock a lot of different moves, a lot of different sort of like tools and things like that when you combine it together, you should be able to beat both of these bosses. And what I really enjoyed about the Lace one is you kind of got a sense of how sort of like the movement mechanics are in a combat scenario. Whereas with Fourth Chorus, it felt a little bit more in line with some of like the grander bosses from the original Hollow Knight, where like memorize the patterns, use sort of like, some of these newly unlocked skills that you have, and just pay attention to kind of like what is happening on screen, and that typically will get you to the finish point. I found Fourth Chorus to be, I don't want to say easy, because I did wipe like a couple of times with him, but for Hollow Knight standards, like only a couple of times for me is like low versus wiping like a dozen times. So like in that sense, I felt like it was a good kind of boss that introduces you to what is about to come up later on in the game as well. And I feel like, just both Lace and Fourth Chorus kind of were great for that reason. I also, honestly, side note for the Lace fight, absolutely love that track. And when I looked it up on
Mm.
YouTube earlier, apparently this song released like 5 years ago and has like 7 million views on YouTube, which is insane. But
Nice,
that's how
nice,
long
nice,
people have
nice,
been waiting
nice.
for Hollow Knight.
Did you do the fight against Widow yet or no?
I'm not that far yet. I only got to the
Okay.
halfway house. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so full transparency. And I'll get to the speedrun part in a minute, but I have been watching folks speedrun it, and like this is not the kind of game where I care about spoilers. So
Uh-huh.
I've been just kind of like checking things out. Like there's the full map online. I kind of wanted to just see like the true scope of this game, and
Mhm.
I quickly realized when I looked at the full map the first time this morning, um, lots to go. Lots to go. And
Mhm.
I'm really excited to see what comes up, but also very stressed about it.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I really like the Widow fight. Like, I felt that I was like had a nice difficulty to it, and the phase two was just. I really like the kind of fights where phase two is like just a real test of how well you understood phase one, and I don't know,
Right.
like it was. Yeah, I just like really enjoyed the Widow fight, even if I had like a hard time with it. But
No, that's fair. I'm trying to
Mhm.
get the crest from the Chapel of the Reaper, which changes your pogo
Yes.
from a diagonal to just sort of like a semicircle
Mhm,
strike.
mhm, mhm.
Because I feel like I need that to get through Hunter's Marsh. Like I'm kind of struggling with Hunter's Marsh
Uh-huh.
right now, so
Uh-huh.
gotta do that. I do want to complain about a couple of things with this game because I don't think it's perfect.
Yes,
I
yes.
do
There
think
was a
there's
lot of complaints I have with this game as well.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Do you want to get into that? Is there any other like fun stuff you want to chat about, Jaren? Do you have any questions that you want to get into before we start griping?
I mean, why isn't this called Hollow Life Silksong? I think I would be a lot more interested if it was.
Oh
But
man.
You should make
fair
a
enough.
mod of it on PC.
That'd be a good go.
No, that requires too much work. More work than I would.
You
like
should
to
convince
pay.
someone online.
No, I'd rather spend money on Nikkei cards that make my partner question why we're in a relationship. So,
Jeremy, we can just wait for KU to make a mod at some point.
blessed.
Mhm,
But,
mhm.
boys, this game has been on everyone's wish list for the longest time. But I think with something that has such big expectations, it can't hit everything out of the park. And I guess
Uh-huh.
you were already alluding to this, but Matt,
Mhm.
what aren't you feeling about Silksong?
So one of the things that I really don't like, I guess, coming off of I don't actually think it was the Widow fight, but like there was a particular boss fight where I had run out of the Beast Shards currency, and this is a currency that's used that whenever you sit at a bench, you kind of reload your. This game has something called tools in it, which is basically just additional things that you allow Hornet to do that you can equip. And these things are kind of like, oh, you can throw a lance, you can, throw an arcing lance or throw like a boomerang or throw a trap. And these things have like, oh, you can only use, it only has like 7 charges or 10 charges between each bench rest. But to recharge them at each bench rest, you need to pay another currency that drops from enemies. I don't think that this currency should have existed. This currency is bullshit. Especially when you're just like hard wiping on a boss and you run out of this currency and you're like, oh well, like I I understand that it's probably trying to make it so like, oh, you've wiped a lot on this boss. Maybe you should, go do something else for a bit. Like it's maybe trying to speak that way, but no, I don't. You have to rest at a bench anyway. I don't understand why you have to spend currency to restock these items, especially when, for the most part, like this is a mostly irrelevant currency outside of boss fights. I don't know how you feel about this currency, Rakush.
So I agree with you, and I think you're speaking to one part of what is for me a larger issue, which is skill management in this game is very tedious, more so than it was with Hollow Knight. And currency management as well is very tedious. So I've been wiping a lot. Like I've been saying that already for this episode, but I am getting my ass kicked by this game. Not surprising at all. I fully expected that to happen. The moments where it gets really annoying when that happens is because when you die, you lose all of your beads, which is the other currency in this game.
Yes.
And the beads are what you use to purchase keys, maps, upgrades, even unlock fast travel locations and stuff like that. I'm currently in Greymore, which is kind of like the last big area before you get to Act 2 from the sounds of it. I could be wrong, maybe the second last big area, but like there's a lot of new enemies there, and I've kind of been wiping, and it's probably the broadest of the map so far without a lot of benches. And so when I wipe and I lose the beads, and then like I have to do this whole trek from the bench to restoring sort of like all my currency and silk and all that stuff as well, there's a better than zero chance that I'm gonna die on the way there as well. And that's happened a few times now where I have like 200 beads and like I need to go resurrect it or get that back, and on the way back I'll die and I lose access to like those 200 beads. And a lot of those also come from like chests and things like that too, so it makes it very difficult then to like, now I gotta go and get this elsewhere, now I gotta basically like go to a different area, or I'm trapped here until I unlock the fast travel location. And so I know that's by design, and I think it's up to personal interpretation how you appreciate this part of the game. I personally do not think that the systems that are in place are fair to the less skilled players like myself. Now, that is just a get good. It's a skill issue. I completely understand that, right? But like at some point, it acts as a major roadblock when I feel like a couple of simple quality of life tweaks would kind of make this a little bit more manageable. And also the thing that annoys me is like the one mechanic that they do have in place for you to manage the beads costs 20 beads just to like do it as well. And so like for a currency that's already a little bit rare up until that point of the game, it's like you're paying a premium to hold on to these things. And so it's like it's pick your poison essentially, right? And so like I personally just don't like that part of this game. It's something that was kind of present in the original Hollow Knight as well. And to be fair, I think I kind of hated it in the original Hollow Knight too. I don't think there's any way around it except for just sort of like, this is the decision that the developers have made. I just don't like it.
Yeah, I think the rosaries as a currency is like really weird. Especially, I think the big thing for me is that the rosaries don't drop from every enemy. It is only...
Yeah.
I guess the more, I was gonna say humanoid, but that they're all bugs. But the more people shaped enemies are the only ones who drop them, and they don't even drop that much. And
yeah, so there's another part of this that's annoying too, based on what you just said, right? Because the B shards are also annoying to track as well. We both agree on this. There is a gem or a stone or something that allows you to auto pick up a lot of different things except for the beast shards. So like that's also an annoying part of this, where it's like like even that level of currency management is annoying and tedious.
Guy, man, I still don't like that they decided to make the compass a badge. I thought they would get rid of that.
Right.
They're not called badges in this one. They're tools in this one or something. But man, I'm still bummed.
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
Like they definitely carried over a lot of like these tedious gatekeeping bits for quality of life things, right? Like you need to put the compass on as an equip or as a tool to see where you are on the map. You need to, what was the other one for like auto collecting? You need to put on the fragment, like things like that.
Yeah.
Just make it an unlock, make it a skill or something. Or if you're going to do it that way, like, I don't know if later on in the game you get more slots to equip these things. It seems like you will. But, like, it's been very infrequent early in the game that you're picking up any of these sort of, like, power-ups or fragments or things like that. Now, again, up to interpretation how you feel about that, because I do think there's some value in getting you familiar with the game mechanics before you start sort of like bending the rules. But also at some point I'm like, hey man, I'm 7 hours in. I don't really even have like one full mask for like an extra health bar. So like,
Mm-hmm.
and even like the silk management is getting to be very tedious and very time consuming, because even that you don't get a lot from certain enemies. So like it's this weird risk reward thing that I get why it's there in this game, and maybe I'm just kind of complaining about the inherent nature of this game, I guess. I just wish some things were slightly different.
I actually feel like the silk and the health is actually pretty okay in this game. But more so related to the fact that it is so easy to heal in this game. The amount of I guess like leniency that Hornet has to use her healing versus the amount that, what do you call it, Vessel had in Hollow Knight 1 is crazy. Like, she can heal so easily when you have the silk.
There's also like a badge, or, sorry, whatever it's called in this game. There's also a badge that allows you to not get interrupted while your heal is happening, and then also just basically explodes like the enemies around you for a certain amount of damage. That's cool. So yes, I agree with you that like the healing is, with the right build, a lot more manageable, but getting the actual silk itself, and also then like sometimes early in the game, like I would accidentally use the lance, which uses the same silk currency, so to speak. Basically use the same energy bar as healing yourself up, which is similar to the first game. But yeah, just sort of like getting adjusted to that again took a little bit of time.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that system is both like good and bad. Like I appreciate that system a lot, because like it gives you a reason to have the silk even when you're not getting hurt. And I don't know, I found that like so much more useful, especially in bosses, when I hit that point where it's like, okay, I know like this pattern, like phase 1 pattern exactly. I have so much leeway in like to not get hit that I can use my silk bind attack, which is, it feels really good to use that and know that you're not fucking yourself for later on in the fight.
Also, remind me, in Hollow Knight, could the vessel only heal on the ground?
Yes, I believe Vessel can only heal on the ground, and the amount that you healed was dependent on how long you were healing for. Like, it was a channeled ability instead of like, a hard, like, you recover 3 with this amount type thing for Vessel.
Which is the big difference with Silksong, where Hornet basically is a fixed heal for 3, so far in the game at least. It's a fixed heal for 3. If you're interrupted, you lose all the spool, and like that's also sort of like a risk reward thing. But to me, what I have really found valuable is getting used to healing mid-air.
Yes, that is
because
so strong.
I feel like that adds a different element. Yeah, that adds a very different element to sort of like managing sort of the patterns and stuff.
Also, okay, going back to something we were talking about earlier with the currency, I don't like how much everything that you're finding in the world, like you were talking about like the fast travel points and like stuff like that earlier. I don't like that those cost the same, like this rosary currency, especially because I feel like some of them are actually like quite expensive for certain, like when you get to them at certain points of the game. I really wish that they were just like hard, like just unlocked for you once you got to them the first time, because especially for the rosary currency, because like I said, they're not always from every enemy, and there are some stuff that you can unlock with the rosaries where the enemies around them don't drop rosaries, which is really annoying.
So that part I think I half agree with. I think like the fast travel points, it makes sense to kind of like charge something to unlock it. I think that kind of fits. The ones where it's, to me, like a waste of rosaries, or like almost feels a little bit like they're tricking you into using the rosaries, are when you have to unlock benches that are near fast travel spots. Because at that point, like, you're at a fast travel spot. In theory, you could fast travel back to the very starting point. The bench is right outside, and then it's quicker for you to just kind of travel that way and then save some rosary there. Now, considering how methodical everything in this world is built and curated, or methodically everything is built and curated, it to me feels like either a blind spot that some of these locations for benches exist the way they do, where you have to spend rosary to unlock it, or it just kind of feels like a shitty game mechanic where they're trying to trick you into wasting rosary there.
Also, okay, I'm gonna spoil something about this game that really, really bothers me, which is that one, I don't like finding out that a bench I just paid for is a single use pay for. And
Wait, there's single use pay for benches?
there's single use benches. There's a bench that you like. There's
fuck.
benches that you can unlock that are you only get it that one time when you pay for it.
So how are you supposed to know this?
you pay for it and then you sit on it and you have your save, but like you can't like use it again. You can't like go back to it. So like for example, if you do like die, you'll respawn at that bench. Like you're not paying anything to respawn at that bench, but you can't like move one screen over, get hit, and then like okay, I'm just gonna reset myself. I'm gonna just use that bench again and
That sucks.
go. Like it's that sort of thing. That okay. Number two, this game is mean. You shouldn't have benches that are trapped, that are right after really annoying platforming sections, that when you sit on them, they don't count as you saving, so that when they kill you with their trap, you go back to the bench before and you have to go through your shitty platforming segment again.
That's also a thing?
That is a thing. That is a thing.
Oh my god. I hate all of this.
Oh, man. Rakush, do you want me to tell you where that bench is just so that, you're aware of it?
I have the map loaded up. I'm just gonna look for those and avoid them.
Oh, man.
I think so. Okay, I guess like opening this question up to like you, Matt, and to you, Jaren, as well, right? Like we hear a lot about sort of like classic games that do this, like that infamous Beat Takeshi game that like Game Center CX used to talk about being like very difficult and stuff. And they would just be like cheesing you for the sake of cheesing you with the game, right? Like just mess around with the player without any sort of hint or warning to like avoid certain things. Like, how do you guys feel about those kind of mechanics? I personally don't find any enjoyment in that.
Yeah, like personally, that is very much a thing I dislike about a lot of games. Like, I know that people kind of rag on Dark Souls about being, oh yeah, like this is a very difficult game, but like I feel Dark Souls is very fair about it. Like especially things like, oh, you have an enemy that's hidden and it's gonna push you off a ledge. But a lot of the first times that it'll do this sort of thing, it's in a way that it doesn't kill you. It's in a way that like it's you'll get tricked by it, but you'll be aware that it's there from now on. If it's following that sort of logic, I am more okay with it than if it's just being cruel to the player for cruelty's sake.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like my relationship with portions of games that are kind of like that really at least remind me of the old, I don't want to say, the NES, even to a lesser extent, like arcade era games where, these were, for all intents and purposes, shorter experience that had to be prolonged in some way, and rather that be artificial difficulty increases or just wonky design choices to kind of keep you at something for longer periods of time, where on one hand I say, to me, that's just not for me. I know there are players out there who do come to games for that frustration, for something to be overcome, but on the theme of father time, considering how limited our free time is getting these days as well, where if I find anything even remotely frustrating in games, I'll give it, one or two fair shakes to at least say I gave it a fair try, and probably just drop it then and there, because boys, there's too much media to consume, there's too many games to play, where if I'm kind of like hung up on something, I feel like I can be better suited using that time to play something else. But on the flip side, if there's a way that you can kind of exploit other things to get over that hump, I might be more intrigued. But I also feel like those are a bit further and far in between, especially given how fast a game can be hot patched or hot fixed. So long-winded way of saying it's not for me, but at the same point, I feel like I'm also at that point where I don't tolerate it as much as I did, say, if I was younger and that's all I had to play for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
I think like for me personally, Matt, based on what you're explaining, right? Because I still have to get to those areas where I would potentially experience this firsthand.
Mhm.
But my bigger issue with like traps like what you're describing is that it does not feel like you are rewarding the player for learning about your world. There are traps already throughout like
Mhm.
certain parts of this map where it's like, okay, you get hit by it, lesson learned. And then you kind of
Uh-huh.
like, do things a little bit differently, or like you figure out like a different path. But like something like the bench, if it's like, so far, every bench that I've come across, you don't really do anything to unlock the bench except for just hit the up arrow for interact, like to interact with sort of like the prompt. And
Mhm.
then either you pay the rosary for it or like it just unlocks the bench for you. And so nothing has been introduced into sort of like this world so far that suggests that these like safe spaces are going to be a problem for you. And so I
Mm.
think like that is something going back to the original Hollow Knight game. Jaren's getting to me. The original Hollow Knight game, the opening map, they sort of like kind of like it gets consumed by whatever like that orange blob
Mhm.
disease
Mhm.
thing is in the like first game.
Yeah.
The reason I didn't like that either is because it kind of just does not feel like the game allowed the player to feel like they've grown or to feel like they've become stronger. And it's always like keeping you on your toes, which is impressive. And I think some games, it's absolutely like a cool mechanic. And I do think there is some value to that for sure as well. Like, not every game needs to follow the same character progression and stuff like that. And I understand if I want something drastically different than what they've given us, I can just stop playing the game. But
Mhm.
considering how much of the other parts of this game I really do enjoy and how much of the original Hollow Knight I really enjoyed as well, that's why I kind of wish for these things, because everything else is so good and it's so
Yeah.
fun and
Yeah.
it's like so entertaining that
Uh-huh.
like I kind of don't want to stop playing it.
Yeah.
And so it almost feels like you're being manipulated into like sort of like these traps in a way that just sucks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I know that we spent the last like 15, 20 minutes kind of ragging on this game, but Silksong is a very fun game. Like I
Yeah.
love the combat in Silksong. I think a lot of the enemies are, very fun to fight. I know I was annoyed with them at the start. Maybe this is like where you are right now as well, but the enemies like the ants with like the skull helmet were very frustrating to fight, but like as the game goes on, I love fighting those enemies or that style of enemy. And I don't know, just like the moment to moment gameplay of Silksong and Hollow Knight original have always been very fun to me. It's just all of the trappings around it which make them
Yeah.
which drag them down.
Literal trapping sometimes.
Little trappings, yes.
But yeah, like, last thing I will say about this game personally as well is like I mentioned the speedrunning thing. I watched this like one speed run where the guy beat the game in like an hour, sub 2 hours, I think, or sub 90 minutes. I think hour 26 was what he ran. And
Mm-hmm.
he beat the first lace fight in like 30 seconds. And the
Yeah.
first time I fought, well, that fight took me like 45 minutes to an hour to actually get past and beat. And
Yeah.
I will say this, it's very rewarding to go through that fight for like 45 minutes. Whenever I died, I'm like, I never once felt like, oh wow, I got cheated out of a victory or anything like that. I think the boss fights are very fair in this game. I think the
Yes.
arenas sometimes less so, but the boss fights for sure are very fair.
Mhm.
And I really thought like, oh wow, like I learned something after beating it in 45 minutes. And then this dude just crushes it in like 30 seconds. And I'm like, maybe I should just uninstall this game. I don't know. It's very demoralizing.
I don't know. I feel like the boss fights are all like I could understand like, maybe not 30 seconds, but maybe like, oh, I could speed through that fight now that I've gone through it. Like it is very pattern recognition. It is very where are my punish windows on this boss? And even if you're not looking for the punish window specifically, like where are the bosses, what do you call it? Where can I bounce off of this boss's attacks? Because
Where can you sneak in that extra hit as well?
yeah. like I didn't use this that much in Hollow Knight Original, but I'm finding so much use for the parry in Silksong because I
Yeah.
feel like I have a much better idea of which part of the, I guess, like graphic I can parry off of, and which part of the graphic will hit the enemy in
Mhm.
Silksong versus Hollow Knight Original, and I don't know, it makes the combat feel just that much better to me.
Yeah. Like, I'm trying to figure out what the good moment to parry the scissor guy is right now, because that one is, like, in a very
Mm.
narrow quarter and everything, and it's a
Oh.
little bit tricky. But, like, again, like, kind of figuring out some of these patterns, it is rewarding. But, yeah, it's
Mhm.
just the things around it, so... Silksong.
Mhm. I like that scissor
Yeah.
guy. That scissor guy is actually so good for pogoing with if you're using, what's the starting crest called? Wanderer's Crest.
Yeah.
That one's like so good for pogoing, even in that like that kind of short hallway.
Is that so?
I that's how
Oh,
I
I
usually
didn't know
fight that guy if I'm thinking of the correct dude.
Okay. I'm
Mhm.
I'm gonna give that a look, because I've been kind of struggling with that
Mhm.
guy, but, like, making small progress every time I face
Actually,
one, so, yeah.
Rakush, how do you feel about the diagonal pogo? Do you like it or?
The reason I'm going to the Chapel of the Reaper is so that I don't have to do the diagonal pogo. I think that
Oh, okay.
this
Okay.
is another one of those sort of things where, does it need to be diagonal? I don't know.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I've grown to really like the diagonal pogo. I found a lot more use for it, or it feels like a lot more natural, I guess. But like that is from, I don't know if that's like I've Stockholmed myself with the diagonal pogo, versus I have the Reaper's Crest and I prefer the diagonal pogo now. But
I think, I think the diagonal pogo horizontally is very rewarding. I think the diagonal pogo vertically is where I struggle a lot.
I see.
And then, like, they combine it into zigzag patterns that make it more difficult for me, especially when I'm just still figuring out the mechanic. And I think, like, those are the things that I struggle with the pogo.
I see. Have you gotten the what's it called? There's another one that you can get like kind of early. It's the one that gives you like the quicker attacks crest. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head right now.
Not sure. No, I don't think I have that one.
Yeah, it also has a like it has the Hollow Knight 1 pogo. Like it is specifically the Hollow Knight 1 pogo.
Okay.
But yeah, you can get that one pretty early as well.
So that might be the one I'm trying to get into Church of the Reaper.
No, it's not the. I know the Reaper. The Reaper one is different. The Reaper one is a slow, big slash.
Okay.
The one I'm thinking of is a kind of quick slash. Yeah.
Interesting. All right. I'll check a few of these things out. I think, like, after 7 hours of kind of like settling into the game, I'm comfortable now with just kind of checking out walkthroughs and guides to see what I need to do next. So yeah. It's a lot of Hollow Knight.
A lot of Hollow Knight.
That's a lot of Silksong.
Yes. This game feels very long. I'm debating on if I want to try to get Act 3 or not. But because I heard that you have to, like, Act 2, the game soft ends, and then Act 3 is like, true ending type thing, but you need to wander everywhere to do the true ending type thing.
So typical Hollow Knight pattern. Got it.
Typical, yeah. So I'm debating on if how much I want to do Silksong.
Fair. But hey, this is $20, man, for a game that's that cheap. Even the 7 hours I've played, it already feels worth it.
Also, it's on Game Pass.
It's on Game Pass as well. Yes. Yeah.
Jaren, you're not going to play this, right?
Nope. Biggest nope.
No.
But, Rakush,
Yeah.
did you watch something that I might be interested in at the very least?
I did. Yeah, it was actually a really cool experience. So the Toronto International Film Festival was happening, TIFF, and I've spoken before about my personal appreciation for movies by Mamoru Hosoda. He is the one that worked on Summer Wars, did the Baron Omatsuri One Piece movie as well. So, pretty great director, someone I have a lot of respect for. And his latest movie, Scarlet, actually had its North American premiere at TIFF. And fortunately, I actually got a ticket to go check it out. And I think it was an interesting experience. One thing I will say is, and the reason I did want to talk about it with you guys, was how different a movie watching experience is at like a film festival like this, which is followed by a Q&A session with the director himself or herself or themselves. And in this case, like Mamoru Hosoda was actually there in person, which was really cool as well. I didn't know if it was confirmed he would be there. He was. Did a Q&A session, so like that was great. But at the same time, I think coming out of that experience, I was of two minds. The experience itself to watch the movie at TIFF was cool as hell, because hearing Hosoda speak about sort of like the work, speak about the animation process, speaking about sort of like that like decision making process was super insightful. And I think like that gave me a better appreciation for the movie. However, if I did not have those like 5-10 minutes of a Q&A session to go off of, I'm actually not sure if I found this movie enjoyable. It's not his strongest work. I will say that, like, for a fact. It is not up there with Summer Wars or anything like that. So what is Scarlet as far as plot is concerned? Broad strokes, it is exploring the question of sort of like nature versus nurture through a retelling of Hamlet and a reimagining of the characters with different motivations. The core one being, what if Hamlet's dad was not seeking vengeance as a ghost? I think that's sort of like a big one. But it is very much Hamlet. A lot of the characters are named after the Hamlet play. Like the everybody knows that's like one of Shakespeare's like most famous works. You have Rosencrantz, Guildenstern, you have Claudius, you have like a lot of these different characters in there as well. And I think like the plot is where I personally did not love it the most. I think this is why I don't feel like it's the strongest work, because the plot just kind of felt broken. Like the pacing and progression felt broken. Like the movie was kind of skipping forward a few sequences without giving much of an explanation of where they're going, why they've gone there, what it is they're doing in this like new section, new area, things like that. And there was a few occasions of that where I felt like it kind of took me out of the movie a little bit. So I think that's what I struggled with the most, is sort of like the pacing of things. And I was kind of felt like there's a lot of questions left. Sorry, I wouldn't say a lot. A few of the questions were left unanswered at the end of the movie. And sometimes that's okay. Sometimes a movie is not actively trying to answer all the questions. Sometimes the movie is trying to maintain a certain mystery or aura around the world that you're being immersed into. And that would have been fine. But I feel like the way the movie was set up in the first half was sort of leading to some of these questions getting answered, which don't get answered. And I felt like that was also, to me, one of like the stronger, or sorry, one of the bigger misses of this movie. And I think like this next part, and this is again where like I kind of have to sort of separate the experience with the movie itself, because in the Q&A session, like someone did ask him about the plot and like what his inspirations were and why he chose to do a retelling of Hamlet with this latest movie. And one of the things that he kind of was talking about was this nature nurture thing, and just it felt like the answer itself was kind of a little bit mixed, a little bit all over the place. Now, am I being fair to his answer? I don't know, because it was through a translator. So was this just a translator not channeling sort of like that enthusiasm or the passion? Was I picking up on sort of like the tonality of what he was saying in Japanese? I don't know, right? So like maybe I'm not being the most fair about that itself. So plot-wise, not the strongest movie. However, I do have to say, the actual animation and the art style and the design, like the combination of sort of like these different inspirations and influences, like you see a lot from like anime inspiration, but also like you see a lot of like 80s 90s Disney movie inspirations. You see a little bit of sort of like the European animation influences there with like some of the hand-drawn things. There is, mild spoilers, a dragon in this movie. You see a little bit of it in the trailer as well. I would say is probably one of my favorite dragon designs ever. I really loved it. Like, just everything about how the dragon appeared on screen and the sort of grandiose nature of it and everything. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Like, I got a lot of just sort of like nostalgic vibes from some of like the designs, or sorry, decisions made with some of these designs, some of the animation stylings and things like that as well. Now, one thing I do feel confident about coming out of that Q&A session is he definitely sounded a lot more energetic when talking about sort of like the decision making process behind melding a lot of these different influences together, because a lot of the movie takes place in essentially limbo, or like the afterlife, and it's a place where people from all different cultures and timelines come together. And so it's sort of like this timeless space where war has kind of just like consumed it as well. And so the fact that like he himself, Hosoda himself, did not feel like this should just be tied down to anime stylings, and like that's why he tried to like implement like 3D with like anime with like Disney. Like, it at first might have felt a little bit unorthodox and a little bit difficult to kind of process, but I certainly, as the movie went along, appreciated just like how he made some of these choices, and even how like the afterlife, the characters in the afterlife were animated versus the characters like in the living world were animated, and like how different that felt. Like, everything about that was really cool in that way as well. So yeah, that's Scarlet, and I think I'm really grateful to have experienced that. Really fortunate to have gone and heard one of my favorite directors speak about a movie that he's just made. Again, not his strongest work, but I think definitely worth watching simply from a technical execution standpoint. This movie, I believe, releases in Japan in November and releases in North America in December. And the last thing I am curious about is sometimes movies at TIFF are incomplete. I am curious if there are scenes missing from this movie that are still going to be added in between now and November. Although I don't think it's going to be that much. Even a couple of extra minutes that could sort of bridge certain scenes between each other could help it out a lot. Again, I don't know if that's going to happen, so we'll see. But I think this is a movie that I might go check out again in December when the time comes.
Yeah, I didn't know incomplete movies was a thing for TIFF.
So, it's not always the case. I would say documentaries are the ones that are typically incomplete at like TIFF. I've seen a couple of them, and then like I've rewatched them afterwards, and either they've shot like dramatic retellings of like a story, or they've just re-edited certain things. Maybe they got an interview that was missing for the film festival that they implemented in. But yeah, I'm just curious. Like, I don't know if this is going to change.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it doesn't. We'll see. But yeah, an extra few minutes I think could help it out a lot. So yeah, that's Scarlet. And I guess like, yeah, is this something like based on what I'm like kind of sharing here, like something you guys would want to check out?
I mean, I'm kind of interested in it. I feel like if you didn't mention the Hamlet thing, that reference probably would have like definitely gone over my head while I was watching this. But I've been watching the trailer while you were talking about it, and I really like this animation style. Like, this is the kind of style of I guess like 3D anime style animation that I really like. It's very what's a game? Guilty Gear style to me, or like reading very Guilty Gear to me. And I don't know, Rakush, I remember what you said about the Guilty Gear anime, and it makes me want to watch this more just for like, I don't know, like maybe there's something good that Guilty Gear can get me to.
I mean, listen, if Guilty Gear gets animated like this movie, I would be more interested in watching that anime. I am not always the biggest fan of the 3D styling, like the sort of like cel-shaded 3D anime style, but I think it kind of works here in a way that I haven't seen before with like the 3D styles. Jaren, how about you? You gonna watch this one?
Actually, you know what? If this does get a limited release with it, which I'm assuming it probably will, considering how I'm still surprised at how many movies still get shown, or anime movies in general get shown in our area. So you said this will probably get a Western release, or at least limited release in December. If that's the case, yeah, I'll probably end up watching just because I personally like the movie going experience. Where I think one thing I forgot to mention during the Demon Slayer segment was that, boys, uh, are you at that point of losing the battle to Father Time where you're bringing earplugs to IMAX movies?
Oh gosh,
Ooh.
no.
No,
I
Jared,
still
you.
love getting my ears blown out.
Mm-hmm.
Boys, do IMAX movies are really loud, and do I recommend bringing a pair of earplugs just to not only save your sweet little earbuds, but um, just in case you might have some who are the people that they warn you about before a movie? You know, like Sally speaks a lot or Tommy talks a
Suki
lot.
Snapper.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I think the earplugs drown out or are still like drown out people who might be whispering around you, but you'll still be able to fully hear an IMAX movie. Where I do recommend bringing earplugs to IMAX showings, and I also do recommend that everyone stick around for our final segment, the Don't Match Me challenge. And I believe, Matt, you were the one bringing it to us this week. And don't worry, I took out my earplugs especially for this one.
Nice. Okay, yes. I am the one that's bringing the Don't Match Me challenge this week. And, you know, if you don't know what that is, this is a game that we play at the usually end of every episode that we do. As always, the rules for Don't Match Me challenge are that I, the question asker, am going to ask you, the listener, along with my co-host, 5 questions, and I'm going to give 5 answers. The goal for you, the player, is to provide answers that don't match my answer. And of course, if that sounds too easy, you can up the difficulty by also trying to not match my co-host at the same time. And remember, this is a podcast, so if you need some time to think, just hit that pause button, Google an answer, and then start us back up again, because we're always going to be on the other side of that play button. You know, of course, bringing Silksong, I thought that I would bring a Silksong based Don't Match Me, but in order to avoid spoilers, I am going to be bringing a Hollow Knight based Don't Match Me. So, Hollow Knight 1 based the Don't Match Me.
Interesting.
Might as well open up that Hollow Knight wiki now, because we're about to get into it. So, my first question is, name any charm in Hollow Knight. Alright. So, name that charm in 3, 2, 1. I've been complaining about it this episode. I'm going to go with, of course, the Wayward Compass.
Hey, Matt, good answer. Good answer.
Uh-huh.
Matt, I'm gonna assume this is also a good answer. I chose, or I scrolled to, Long Nail.
Long Nail, is that the one where like it gives you a longer range? Yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah. It's a good one. It's good. That's good. Rakush, what'd you go with?
I went with Grub Song because I used to get my shit kicked in so much I needed to auto-generate soul to heal.
Feel. I feel. It's a good charm. All right. So, going on to question 2. That is, name any friendly Hollow Knight NPC. So, any NPC that, you know, doesn't immediately try to kill you, I think is as friendly as you get in Hollow Knight. All right. Okay. So, name that NPC in 3, 2, 1. Of course, I'm going to go with our girl, Hornet.
Wait, no, hold up. Sorry, I dispute this.
What?
I dispute this.
You don't think Hornet is a friendly NPC?
Because you said one that doesn't attack you. You have to fight Hornet in this game.
No, one that doesn't immediately try to kill you.
She tries to kill you in the first thing.
I guess she does try to kill you. You know what? Is this count as me being out for my own Don't Match Me?
This never happened before. I don't know.
I mean, she's friendly enough that she fights alongside you sometimes.
All right. She becomes friendly.
I feel like your friendly additive really turned this on the head, because for someone who doesn't know anything about Hollow Knight, like when everyone said that Hornet was an NPC, I think with the power of editing, you could have totally blacked out friendly, and this could have worked out.
Nah. I'll keep it in. Yo,
we're too
this is,
honest. We're
this
too
is-
honest.
Yeah, this is what's that thing that's what's that thing where you're being honest through news?
Ethical.
Integrity. That's it.
Ah.
Integrity. Jeremy, sorry, did you say your thing or did I?
I don't know. Google says Izelda. Is she friendly?
I don't know who that one is. Is that the merchant?
Zelda's the map person. Yeah.
Rakush, who'd you go with?
I'm gonna go with the Nail Masters, Nail Master Mato or Shio. I personally like Shio the best. That's the artist. Big fan.
Rakush, did you ever use the nail arts in Hollow Knight? I feel like I never used them.
I mean, I unlocked them. I can't remember if I actually used them. It's been a while.
Okay. Going on to question 3, which maybe my question 2 answer counts here, but my third question is name any boss that you can fight in Hollow Knight. So name that boss in 3, 2, 1. I'm going with that piece of shit. I'm going with Soul Master. Jaren, who'd you go with?
I went with Paintmaster Shio because they have a funny mark next to their name.
All right, Rakush, who'd you go with?
Matt, I got really scared I matched with you when you said that piece of shit because I went with Dung Defender. I'm glad you didn't go with him.
Oh, it's a good goof. That's a good goof. And very, very on brand, Rakush. Oh, man. Going on to question 4. The map in Hollow Knight is divided into a bunch of areas. I just want you to name one of the areas of the Hollow Knight map.
This one I know. Although let's see if you accept it or not.
I'm going for like the formal name. That's like, like when you zoom out of the mini map, it shows you like names of areas. Going in 3, 2, 1. Of course, I gotta go with City of Tears. Jaren, where'd you go?
I went with the page that's trending right next to that, The Abyss.
I think that's in Silksong? Or am I wilding on that one?
Abyss is...
The Abyss is the lowest area in Hollow Nest, located below...
Oh, in the Ancient
Basin.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
that's the one where you take one of the badges. I think it's the King's badge or something and convert it into another one.
Alright, Rakush, where'd you go to?
So I wanted to use Path of Pain because of that piece of shit map that has clearly influenced Silksong's entire traversal. But I'll go with Kingdom's Edge because that's like one of the formal overall areas.
Okay. Alright. I feel. Going on to last question of my Hollow Knight base Don't Match Me. You don't get these in Silksong, but I want you to name one of the spells in Hollow Knight that you can cast as our boy Hollow Knight. I think his name isn't Hollow Knight. What were we calling it earlier? Vessel. So, the spell in 3, 2, 1. I'm going with one that I remember using a lot, but not very successfully. I'm going with Howling Wraiths.
Matt, good answer.
Jaren, what was your answer?
I went with the one before that on the Hollow Knight wiki, and I went with Desolate Dive.
Good spell. Rakush, what are you casting?
I went with the negative version of Howling Wraith, so we almost matched Abyss Shriek.
Ooh, that's good.
Although, okay, question for you, because there is the badge that like releases all those weird looking like worms that also do crazy damage. I know speedrunners use it a lot. I can't remember which one that is.
I don't know which one that is either. Maybe I don't know if I ever unlocked that badge in particular.
But yeah, that was like one as well. That apparently, if you use it in combination with a few other things, it's like hella busted.
Ooh, I like me some hella busted builds.
You should look it up then.
Maybe when I go back to Hollow Knight 1, I'll give it a try. But yeah, that was the last one for my Don't Match Me challenge. Hopefully, just like my co-host here, you made it through.
And if you didn't, that's okay. That just means you're now Matt's best friend for the week. And congratulations. And I would also like
I'll be honest though.
What's up?
This Don't Match Me, I was hoping it'd be more difficult, just to be more like Hollow Knight.
Well, you know what? I am actually planning on also releasing a Silksong based Don't Match Me on our YouTube channel when I put this one out on our YouTube channel as well.
Damn.
So maybe you'll see this one at the same time.
Interesting.
Matt, Are you announcing DLC before the official product is
God.
out?
Oh lord.
It'll hopefully be out, alongside the Hollow Knight one, but who knows how long it'll take.
It's day one DLC.
It's not going to be day one DLC. It's we'll see. Maybe
Day two DLC.
maybe a little bit later.
Got it.
Day 2 DLC. Day 3 DLC. Day 3 DLC.
Fair enough. But with that was another beefy boy episode of the Mistake Zone. Thankfully, not as long as the Demon Slayer Infinity Castle movie. So hopefully,
But it could have been.
Could have been. Maybe with the DLC, who knows? Who knows? But what I know is that I would like to thank.
You can listen to this, like Jaren said, with your headphones while you're sitting in a theater watching Demon Slayer.
Or you could just do what, the opposite of what a lot of people do and listen to this at 0.75 speed.
Oh god.
Ooh, actually, damn, that's rough. That's actually rough. That's the actual hard mode of Mistake Zone.
Oh man.
But I would like to thank my best friend in the whole world, Matt Alba, for joining me this week and also editing this podcast and also bringing this week's Don't Match Me challenge. Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, man. It's always Jaren. I want to thank you for hosting the show and, getting us hyped for some 4DX anime movies.
You have to, boys. We have to. I'd also like to thank my other best friend in the whole wide world, Rakush, for joining us this week. Going back to his Chainsaw Man bag and telling us about his adventures in TIFF.
Hell yeah.
Thanks, Rakush.
Yeah, of course. And next week we'll be back to being dramatic again. Maybe.
Guys, I would like to thank Demon Slayers, Demon Hunters, K-pop, mostly because when I went to a card show expo, there was a K-pop Demon Hunters karaoke segment, but the MC said K-pop Demon Slayers, and we all looked at each other and thought, that boy went to the Infinity Castle premiere.
Amazing.
Want to thank Makima because, of course. Want to thank Hornet. Want to thank all the Hornet fan art. You guys know what I'm talking about. And I want to thank, boys, I want to thank the ghost in my fridge.
Are you a furry if you want to fuck a bug?
I think that makes you a buggy.
Oh, God.
Please, take it away.
This has been a Mistake Zone, and we're all out of bathroom breaks.